Jai Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Bihari Jayo Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jayo Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravan Chari Yamuna Tiravan Chari Jaya Radha Madhava Yayo Kunja Bihari Yayo Radha Madhava Yayo Kunja Bihari Jayo Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jayo Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravan Chari Yamuna Tiravan Chari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Braja Jana Ranjana Jaya Braja Jana Ranjana Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Braja Jana Ranjana Jaya Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari यामति रावणचारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधवा जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधवा जय कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे ओ हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा गोपी जना वल्लभा राधा गोपी जना वल्लभा जय निताय पतिता पावन गौर हरि जय निताय पतिता पावन गौर हरि प्रभुपा प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय गौर भक्तवृंद की जय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरू श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितं हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमस्तुते तप्त कांचना गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्ता स्वामी इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादेशतारिणे पंचतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपास्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकम् जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरून् दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरम्. So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, chapter 24th, verse number 7 and 8. अवादयंस्तदा व्योम्नि वादित्राणि घना घना गायन्ति तं स्म गन्धर्वा नृत्यन्ति अप्सरो सुमुरा. अवादयंस्तदा व्योम्नि वादित्राणि घना घना गायन्ति तं स्म गन्धर्वा नृत्यन्ति अप्सरसो मुदा. अवादयंस्तदा व्योम्नि वादित्राणि घना घना गायन्ति तं स्म गन्धर्वा नृत्यन्ति अप्सरसो मुदा. Avadayan sounded, tada at that time, Vyomni in the sky, Vaditrani musical instruments, Gana Gana the rain clouds, Gayanti sang, Tam to him, Sma certainly, Gandharva the Gandharvas, Nityanti danced, Apsarasaha the Apsaras, Mura in joyful ecstasy. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. At the time of his descent on earth, this is a quick background. Yesterday we saw that Kapila Muni was born to Devahuti and Kadava Muni, and these two words are describing the state of the demigods when the appearance of Kapila Muni took place. So at the time of his descent on earth, demigods in the form of raining clouds sounded musical instruments in the sky. The celestial musicians, the Gandharvas, sang the glories of the Lord, while celestial dancing girls known as Apsaras danced in joyful ecstasy. So, okay, we will read one more verse. Petu sumanaso divya khechare apavarjita praseduscha disha sarva ambhamsi cha manamsi cha. Petu fell sumanasaha flowers, divya beautiful, khechare by the demigods who fly in the sky, apavarjita dropped, praseduhu became satisfied, cha and disha directions, sarva all, ambhamsi waters, cha and manamsi minds, cha and. At the time of the Lord's appearance, the demigods flying freely in the sky showered flowers, all the directions, all the waters, and everyone's mind became very satisfied. All the directions, all the waters, and everyone's mind became very satisfied. Purport: it is learned herewith that in the higher sky there are living entities who can travel through the air without being hampered. Although we can travel in outer space, we are hampered by so many impediments, but they are not. We learn from the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam that the inhabitants of the planet called Siddha Loka can travel in space from one planet to another without impediment. They showered flowers on the earth when Lord Kapila, the son of Kardama, appeared. So these two words is a description of the appearance of Lord Kapila Muni. The last to last was described the Lord yeah, made his appearance in the womb of Devahuti, and he came out. Um, when I was contemplating on these two verses yesterday, basically these two verses describe the joy of the demigods, and as soon as the Lord appeared, um, I mean it's a emotional feelings of joy, spontaneous feeling of joy that all the higher beings were experiencing by the appearance of the Lord. That gives us a glimpse of how much love these higher beings they have for the Lord. Now, naturally, we know there is suras and there are asuras, and suras are devotees of the Lord. I was thinking that what point I can bring from these two verses, and the thing that was most prominent to me was how there is a spontaneous love that or a spontaneous attraction that these beings have when the Lord appeared. And we see that uh, the Lord and all the pastimes of the Lord are divine. We see that when Krishna appeared on this planet and Krishna was performing various pastimes, and every now and then we see in Srimad Bhagavatam the demigods were showering flowers. So that shows there, and I mean there are descriptions where they are coming down to be with the Lord, to participate in the Lord's pastime in Vrindavan. We see the same, that all the demigods they came and they participated in Mahaprabhu's pastimes. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would go for Sankirtan, we see that all the demigods they would come down and join. And Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami says hundreds and millions of devotees would go. Just like we see the example of when the first Sankirtan happened, and Chand Kazi was creating impediments for spreading the mission of the Lord. And Mahaprabhu said, we will do public Sankirtan. And Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami says, unlimited number of demigods, they came and participated. We see how all the demigods, they came and participated um, and were took birth in the Yadu dynasty to participate in Lord Krishna's pastimes, even among the monkeys to participate in Lord Ramchandra's pastimes. So that just shows there is a natural flow of affection that demigods feel, and that all. I mean, we see even many times they okay, they do have material desires. Not all of them. Some of them are pure devotees, and some of them do have material desires. And some of them fail to recognize who is Krishna. Like some of them, they know that this is Supreme Personality of Godhead, but sometimes they are illusioned, because Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, first chapter, first verse says, um, Muyati Asuraya. Even the great sages and demigods are illusioned by the illusory energy of the Lord, and because of that reason, they could not understand who Krishna is. So they made many mistakes, like Brahmaji made a mistake. But the moment Brahmaji realized that this is my Lord Narayan, Brahmaji put his four heads to the ground. That shows, I mean, they, yes, Brahmaji did feel pride. And that's why Lord Krishna called for Brahmas of all different universes, because he was thinking he's the creator of the universe. So they do have that, like we see Indra do have attachment to his post, and that's how any sages he gives them, obstacles, because he has fear of losing his post. But at the same time, we see how they all have still a natural affection towards the Lord. Like how when Brahmaji realized, he took such a humble position. Oh, this is my Lord Vishnu. This is my Lord. And because there is a reciprocation of love. Krishna is always supporting the demigods, and um, demigods are always joyful um, by serving the Lord. and Krishna is always, I mean, he is impartial, yet he is partial to his devotees. Now, just like, we are also trying to practice devotional service, but then we also have material desires. Likewise, these demigods also have material desires. Like whenever my Guru Maharaj says about Indra, he says, all due respect to Indra. And one of the thing that was coming to my mind is one of the 64 items in Nectar of Devotion. Um, Rupa Goswami mentions as one should not deride the demigods or speak against demigods. Sometimes, as devotees, as practicing devotees, we see that we are practicing, and when we hear about demigods or somebody says, like especially in preaching activity, somebody says, "Oh, I used to worship Lord Shiva." Now we should check in our heart when they say, "I used to worship Lord Shiva," or "I used to worship this Devi," "I used to worship." What do we feel in our heart? Do we feel in our heart? Um, some kind of like like disturbed that, oh, they are doing this, and immediately we jump on and try to prove that, yeah, they are all junior, and they are all demigods, and their worship is not recommended, which is all true. But at the same time, it's not about what we speak. I mean, we have the knowledge. It's about the feeling. It's about like one of the thing that um, Raghunath Das Goswami mentions in Mana Shiksha. He said in the first verse of Mana Shikshas that one should offer respect to, I mean, to Ghoshta, Ghoshalishu, to Vrindavan, to the resident of Vrindavan, and keeps on going and says Brahmanas, devotees, and in the commentary it is mentioned all kind of devotees, Kanishtadhikari, Madhyamadhikari, Uttamadhikari. So this what I'm trying to say is trying to understand the relationship between Lord Krishna and the demigods, and by no means should we have a disturbed mind or a negativity um, or kind of insecurity towards demigods, rather than the impression that we should have if they are great devotees of the Lord. We are not telling all of them are pure devotees of the Lord, although some of them are, but they are devotees of the Lord. And we see so many times Krishna reciprocate with the devotion. Like one example I was thinking is this um, Samundar Manthan Leela, and how the Lord, like in how many ways the Lord favored. He knew that the demigods are weak, so he made the demigods take the tail part. Um, like Narayan, he spoke. Um, so, do you want the head or do you want the tail, the back part or front part? He knows that demigods may not be able to handle because they were already weak. So the demon said, "Yeah, we will take the head portion. We never go to the back." So in this way, the Lord was tricking the demigods. And then when this nectar came, the Lord came as Mohini Murti to make sure that the demigods only get the nectar. So in various ways, we see whenever the demigods they approach the Lord, the Lord is always eager to help them. I mean, like in Hindi, there is a word called दायित्व. तो भगवान ने उन देवताओं का दायित्व लिया हुआ है कि उनके प्रोटेक्शन का at in all circumstances. And we see so there is a reciprocal exchange um, between Lord Krishna in the form of Lord Narayan, because they don't know Krishna. I mean, now they know, but they know they have that spontaneous loving affection. When Krishna came and like Mahadev, when he understood that this is Swayam Bhagavan, he wanted to participate in the pastimes of Krishna out of love. And then he was guided and he came as Gopeshwar Mahadev. Likewise, Narad Muni participated. Indra, he also was like, yes, the Ahankar was there. But as soon as he realized that this is my Lord Narayan, he felt very bad. that he bowed his head down. He went to Brahma and he told Brahma that I have made a blunder. The Lord of my life, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and I have offended him. So, yes, why he did this to our Bhagwan Shri Krishna? Because he didn't know that Krishna is Swayam Bhagwan. He was thinking he is a boy and he's trying to challenge me. That's how this his ahankar, Krishna want to break his ahankar. But then, if we see through all these different pastimes, we'll see underlying there is a great respect for the Lord, and they are all kind of dedicated. Yes, they do have material desires. So these were some of the feelings that were coming. Is just that we should see them as great devotees and we should respect them as great devotees. We don't worship them. Krishna says if we worship them for material desires, Krishna says that is, yes, less intelligent people, and it is avidi purvakam. Um, Yet they are so joyful when the Lord appears in any of his incarnation. And they want to participate, they shower flowers, they glorify, they dance. When Krishna shows universal form, they are offering respect. So these are just the thoughts that I was thinking when I read this particular verse.
Prabhuji, very, very wonderful points. Please accept my humble obeisances.
Hare
Done
Krishna.
with Ram Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I especially like the point when you especially, I was actually attending one of the devotees class. He would refrain from even using the word demigod. He would always use devatas.
Mm,
Because he brought up a good point, and I was just remembering when you mentioned about that point, saying that the respect we should have for devatas is very important because they are still at highly platform than us in terms of, yes, there are Mishra Bhaktas and there are pure devotees as well, and we can't know who is who
mm,
depending on their mood or depending on the pastime they are participating in.
mm,
So that was one wonderful point which I liked. I had one question, Prabhu. This is few years back. A couple of devotees we went together to Lord Shiva's temple. Um,
mm,
and then the question was, should we take prasad or shouldn't we take prasad? Which is like whatever is offered to Lord Shiva. So there was a transcendental debate where we were just one devotee was saying even Lord Chaitanya actually bowed down in front of Lord Shiva and he took the prasad. So I just want to, and the other devotee was saying, oh, you know what? Because it is ultimately who these, offering to Lord Shiva. I don't know what is their mood behind it. If their desire is material, then we will also penetrate that. What do
mm.
you recommend, Prabhu, in this situation?
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. I mean, Prabhu, you may have heard that particular story where some of the sannyasis from Udupi Mutt, they were agitated because a prostitute cooked, and they requested the Lord, my Lord, why we are agitated? We are eating your prasad. And Udupi Krishna, he spoke to the head pujari that because it was cooked by prostitute, I can digest, but you cannot. So that's where there is emphasis on even if somebody offers to Lord Krishna, then we are discriminatory when it comes to eating. And we hear even Srila Prabhupada, when his very young disciples, when he came, out of love, they would offer something to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada would not eat it, but Prabhupada would accept it in order to reciprocate. So when it comes to demigod prasad, it's not like probably Mahadev is like, um, Mahadev has to give us access in order to access Vrindavan because he's an expansion of Sankarshan, and Sankarshan is Swayam Bhagavan. And he comes from Sankarshan, he worships Sankarshan, who is in charge of false ego. So Mahadev, he sees how much false ego we have, and to the extent we are free from false ego, he gives access to Dham. That's why he's Kshetrapal. He protects. Those with false ego can, I mean, we can access Dham to the extent we are free from Ahankar, basically. And he is the one who stops. And he is the one who gives access. That's why he is Kshetrapal. So, and worshipping, bowing down to Mahadev, as you mentioned, Prabhu, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would go, and every, if there is Shiva temple, there is Vishnu temple, he'll go and pay obeisance to Shiva temple. He would not just bypass. He would not just go to Vishnu temple. He would go to Shiva temple and pay obeisances in Vishnu temple, because there is a lot of loving reciprocation, Prabhu. And the Lord has such respect for Lord Shiva. And it's not just Lord Shiva, any pure devotee, there's a loving relationship. We see Krishna washing the feet of Sudama, um, and Krishna becoming the Sarthi of Arjuna. So the Lord has, it's his Swabhav that he loves his devotees, and that's why Lord Ramchandra, he worshipped Shiva before he wanted to kill Ravana, just because he didn't want to displease his devotees, not as superiority or inferiority. That's how we see it, because of ahankar, but as just a loving relationship. Just like somebody is coming home, Yugal Krishna Prabhuji was mentioning, Maharaj asked one Prabhu that I can come, and Prabhu said, "Let me check with my wife and I will let you know." So he is also taking together simple principles. So Mahadev is great personality, but at the same time, when we cannot eat food which is offered to Krishna, if it is like we hear most of the sannyasis, they eat food which is cooked by Brahman initiated devotees. So we have discrimination there. So we may go to demigods temple, but we should have high respect for demigods, knowing who they are. Um, like we see Yoga Maya's Krishna's sisters. Obviously, what kind of love he would have, and Durga Devi's expansion. And she prayed to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what kind of service you have given me in Simanta Dweep behind Jagannath temple in Mayapur. And Lord Chaitanya appeared. So that shows their consciousness and how much spontaneous love they have. So when we go to visit demigod temple, or when we hear about demigods, our mind should not be disturbed. Like, sometimes we feel like, like disgusted. That is not a good consciousness. That's not a consciousness exhibited by Raghunath Das Goswami Manasiksha, and how they are always serving the Lord, and they have guilt when they make some mistakes. But when it comes to eating prasad, because the person who is cooking for them, because of that, we don't eat in the temples.
Very, very elaborate answer, Prabhu. I just want to share, or I want to confess this. Um, After coming to Krishna consciousness, and especially hearing this line, demigods are waiting, or devtas are waiting to take the birth in devotees' family, and again, misinterpreting the part devotee, it's again Chaitanya Mahaprabhu talk about it, who is a devotee. So I made so many mistakes around it, and I would not bow down in the temple. And then when Nayan Sundari was going through so much difficulty, and then somebody said that you should do this yet. I'm like, am I supposed to do that? I thought you're not supposed to do that. But then the
Mm.
devotee beautifully said that you keep Krishna in forefront and do whatever is needed for the body. But this is very wonderful, very practical class, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
I mean, sometimes, like I have seen in my own self, and that I'm working on, somebody comes and says that we hear from, say, Jayapadaka Maharaj. Then we feel like blissful. Oh, amazing, Prabhu, you heard from Jayapadaka Maharaj. Or we worship this particular guru or this particular devotee. We feel very secure. And when they say we worship Shiva, then we become very insecure. Oh, we worship Shiva. And immediately want to jump on to tell them, oh, he's a devata. Or, he's a demigod. But it's not what we say, it's the mood that we carry within our heart that hurts the other person. It's like when so I mean, yes, we have to bring them to knowledge, and Lord Shiva himself is trying to help people who are worshipping him to bring to Krishna, and we also do the same thing. But the inner line mood is what we want to transform by understanding the loving relationship between these devotees. I mean, these devotees and Lord Krishna. It's, because we have heard many derogatory things about them also, because when we speak about Indra Leela, we are really in a mood to put Indra down, or various things. It's just that respect within the heart that I was getting when I read this. That Lord appeared and they are showering flowers. Now see, the Apsara started dancing. The Gandharva started singing because the Lord appeared. So there is a spontaneous joy that shows the relationship. So
Amazing, Prabhu. Just one more thing which I wanted to share. This is the pastime of Prithu Maharaj, where actually after the 100 yajna is like kind of cancelled because Lord Brahma requests Prithu Maharaj to not do it. And then actually Lord Vishnu is pleased and he comes with Indra. And there is a beautiful picture in that chapter where actually Indra is bowing down in front of Lord Vishnu to Prithu Maharaj. And actually Lord Vishnu kind of glorifies Prithu Maharaj and actually not criticize, but unko he's just
mm,
like keeping the Indra's value down. But in spite of hearing that, he actually bows down and then offer respect. And I was just remembering because whenever I hear Lord Indra's pastime, it just somehow kind of disturbs my mind. But when
mm,
I heard how many of us can actually bow down when someone is criticizing to someone
mm,
whom we are trying to actually snatch away his position,
mm,
so that is so difficult to have that tolerance,
mm,
so humility to actually just present yourself down in front of the others.
mm.
Sorry, Prabhu. I just kept adding sorry.
Thank you for sharing. I mean, the way he went and approached Surbi, his head down, and he was filled with ग्लानि बोलते ना हिंदी में, like lamentation कि क्या कर दिया यार अपने भगवान को इतना दुख पहुंचाया. So just this is another angle to all the pastimes uh, with respect to demigods. Yeah. Anyone else has anything else? Otherwise, I don't have anything else today. So, okay, I think I would like to end here. Thank you very much. If I spoke anything wrong or disturbing, please forgive me as a humble servant. Vanchakalpa tarubhesha kripa sindhube evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namo. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Thank you for joining the Hare Krishna.
Syamananda Krishna Prabhu ki jai. Thank you so much.
Jai.
Jai.
Thank you.